The 49ers have completely failed in this transfer window. The first season back in the Premier League for Leeds United, and we needed lots of improvements to the squad. To be honest, from a midfield and defensive point of view, I'm relatively happy, but it is very clear for all to see that we needed some extra attackers. Deadline day has come to an end, and we have failed to secure those. Daniel Farke, for weeks, has been talking about the need for extra attacking players, and in his own words, otherwise it will be very difficult for us to remain a Premier League team. If the manager's saying that, he's calling out the ownership and he wants players brought in, and the ownership fails when the money is available, and the money has been available all summer, that is nothing but a failure on their part. Before I go into some more, leave your thoughts on this transfer window in the comments down below, and remember to hit like and subscribe. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is our attack. With the loss of Patrick Bamford, Joseph and Laji Ramazani, have we actually improved? We've gone up into the hardest footballing league in the world. Admittedly, Joseph and Bamford were not key players for us. However, they were players who could have played a part. Ramazani, I think, is an absolutely huge loss. And why would the club agree to let him go out on loan if there isn't a replacement lined up and ready to go? We have signed some attackers. Dominic Calvert-Lewin on a free transfer, a massively injury-prone player who has struggled to find form in any time in the last 2 seasons, whilst playing for a team also at some points fighting for their life in the Premier League in Everton. So what makes us think that he can come here and re-pick up that form? It made me think at the time, and still makes me think now, why didn't we just stick with Patrick Bamford, who was already here, already knew the systems and was already on the wage books, but we've instead likely paid off part of his contract to bring in Calvert-Lewin. Makes no sense to me. Okafor from AC Milan for around about £20 million. This is one that I'm hopeful for. He could come good, but he's also a very injury-prone player who hasn't really played that many minutes in the last couple of seasons. So it's a shot in the dark. He does have potential. He did look bright when we played the AC Milan in pre-season, but he's not a player that we can hang our hat on and guarantee is A, going to be available all the time, or B, has a record which suggests he's going to come in and make the difference in the Premier League. Nemecha looks great. For a free transfer, like Nemecha, think he'll add a lot to the squad. He brings a physical presence, but again, he's not scored many goals at any point in his career. He's massively injury prone. All of these attacking signings do not fill me with any confidence that they're going to have enough to score goals. And that has been shown by our first couple games in the Premier League, hasn't it? We've not scored a single goal from open play in 3 Premier League fixtures. We've barely even created any chances in those 3 Premier League fixtures. And as harsh as this is to say, we've seen some of our existing players try and fail in the Premier League, such as Dan James, fantastic in the Championship. I really like Dan James. I want him to succeed massively. But his attributes don't quite work as well in the Premier League as they did in the Championship. We all hope they do. Same with Willy Gnonto. I think he's the one that could make the step up and make a big difference in a lot of our games. Willing to take a man on, willing to take a shot from the edge of the box. But when all of our attacking hopes are effectively coming down to Willy Gnonto and our main striker from last season, who I'm yet to mention, in Joel Peru, then we've got a real problem, haven't we? And Daniel Farke recognised this problem, asked the ownership for help, and they have failed to supply that help. Let's speak about Joel Peru, because he had a very good scoring record for us across both seasons in the Championship, as he did at Swansea. But I don't think he's going to cut it in the Premier League. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on Peru, but I think we can all see he doesn't quite have the pace or the technical ability to make it as a striker in the Premier League, one that's going to score a lot of goals. So we're left in a position where I genuinely think our attack and lack of prowess in that area of the pitch is going to be the thing that sends us back down to the Championship. And overall, this transfer window has been incredibly embarrassing. From a PR perspective for the 49ers, as a fan base, it has been an absolute horror show from day one. Let's speak about the Wilson transfer that was rumoured all day today from Fulham, who have signed multiple wingers, so you would think that this is a deal we could get done. Not that we should have ever left it until this last minute, but it's fallen through. Not just that, but the Pai Zhao deal earlier in the window, We were willing to spend, it looked like, around £35 million to bring Pai Zhao in. Failed to get that one over the line. Another one that was mentioned today, was mentioned in January, has been mentioned so many times, is Gus Hamer. Someone that would add quality to our team. A great set piece taker, someone that can score, someone that's got technical ability, and we don't really have an out-and-out attacking midfielder to provide those creative moments for us. Hamer would have filled that gap. Again, we either left it till way too last minute, or we were never actually in for him. We never really wanted him, because that felt like one that could have been done. El Canouse as well, another attacking midfielder that we were interested in for months and months and months. So many rumours, never happened. We never made that deal materialise. And the final one, and this isn't all of them, by the way, I'm definitely missing some here. I'm just thinking about the ones that I think would have made a real difference, is Muniz from Fulham. He has had a good start to the season and would have been a fantastic striker for us to bring in. That one always felt a little unrealistic to me. But again, someone that we were clearly linked with and should have put more effort in, if not to get him, to have replacements lined up. And the reason I find all this so embarrassing and such a failure from the San Francisco 49ers is they're very aware. They are very aware that we needed more attacking options. Otherwise, why would we have targeted all these players? And why would they have spoken about at the end of last season and even a few weeks ago in an interview with Sky Sports how we're going to be bringing in more players and we're going to throw everything at this transfer window and risk it all to make sure that Leeds stay in the Premier League? It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and to be honest, as harsh as this may be, it reminded me of Andrea Ramazani. Andrea Radrizzani. You see how angry and upset I am with what has happened just on deadline day and for the rest of the window. I can't even think of our previous owners' names. But no, it reminded me of Radrizzani, because this happened all the time under him. Oh, we're linked with this player. Oh, we tried to sign this player. It even got to the point where he was tweeting out names of people that we were actually in talks with, and those deals never materialised. And I thought a lot more of the 49ers, and they've failed us this window. At least, though, there's a few positives to take. There is. We've managed to keep hold of Ilhan Meslier, a fourth-choice keeper who apparently sold his house in Leeds, expecting a move away. But we've kept the Iceman on the books. And also, Gruev has an incredible heat map. That is one of the best heat maps. It'll go down in Leeds United history. It is not quite as good as the Don't Go to Bed Just Yet, but the fact that on transfer deadline day, the only communications from the official Leeds United account is Gruev's heat map is actually laughable. But what's not laughable is that we're going into the Premier League season with a 24-man squad. We're a man light in the hardest division in the world. I mean, to be fair, maybe Parag is doing what he's done a few times this window and pulling up that free agents, free transfer list. There's a few people in there, Christian Eriksen, Dele Alli. Maybe we're going to bring in one of those used to be good players like we have a few times already. But let's talk about the players we have brought in. Not all doom and gloom. As I said right at the start of this video, I do think we've brought in some good defenders and some good midfielders that will shore us up at the back, and we've already seen that against Newcastle and Everton. The main player, Anton Stack, clearly an absolute baller, someone that is going to do very well for us in the Premier League. Sebastian Bernal, he's a backup option, couple million quid. Doesn't look the greatest, but he's not going to be starting, hopefully. We already talked about Nmecha. Jacobiol looks really good, looks promising. He's yet to have a start in the Premier League, but I really do like the look of him. Gabriel Goodmanson, fantastic so far. Unbelievable so far. But realistically, that was just a junior Firpo replacement, wasn't it? So we'll move on to Sean Longstaff, who had an absolutely unbelievable game against his old team in Newcastle. So you can see Perry as well. Calvert-Lewin on a free doesn't fill me with so much excitement. And then James Justin from Leicester, a player that their fans were happy to see leave, but I feel like is a decent backup option for £10 million. I do question now at this point why we would spend £10 million on him and not then go sign an attacker if it's something to do with the finances. But I don't mind him overall. But my question goes back to, after the players we lost at the end of last season, how much better is our squad? Because Junior Firpo left are unbelievable for us last season. Loads of assists, defended very well. Max Wober, a lot of people hate him. I don't particularly like him. But when he was playing for us in the Premier League, he was actually pretty good. He's out on loan. Mateo Joseph got lots of minutes last year. He's out on loan. Patrick Bamford, who was our last Premier League number 9, well, him and Rodrigo towards the end, gone for free to be replaced by Calvert-Lewin. There's just so many questions around all of these transfers for me. I really don't think we've done a good job. And then today, Giabi has left to go to Hull, and we've loaned out Laji Ramazani, which just... I don't even have the words to describe how much that confuses me at this point. I understand his relationship with Farke is probably the reason that that's happened. And I'm not there on the training pitch. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. But the decision to let him go without a replacement ready to roll, I can't believe it. I cannot believe it, because last season, whenever he was playing, whenever he got minutes, there was a return. He was an attacking player with flair, willing to take a man on, willing to take a risk, and clearly getting goals and assists. He's already gone and got an assist in Spain. I think that's one we'll regret. I'm not sure. I don't think that there's a callback option, but I have a feeling in 10 games, if Farke is gone, then Ramazani could have meant a lot to a new manager. And let's speak about Daniel Farke for a second, because I really think that he's been stitched up here. I think he's been given very little chance to keep Leeds in the Premier League. And our attacking line effectively can't be put together in a way that we can challenge a lot of these Premier League defences. Yes, if we were back down in the Championship, we'd smash it still. But the defence level down there is so much worse than these Premier League teams that we have to finish above. You look at the likes of Wolves, you look at the likes of Everton and West Ham, their defenders will generally defend very well, even against our newer signings like Okafor, etc. They're used to playing players of that quality level. So I think Daniel Farke is in with a really horrible time, to be honest. And I think the 49ers have failed him. I think they've failed the fan base. And I can't believe that we've come to transfer deadline day all waiting for a player. The rumour all day was Harry Wilson, and we couldn't even get that one over the line. Really, really upsetting. I think that I can't remember, is it Underwood that's in charge of recruitment? Needs to be fired. Needs to be gone. Because the amount of times that we failed this window for a Premier League team that's, let's face it, has a lot of revenue, a giant fan base, admittedly will be fighting relegation, but look at what Sunderland have done. Look at the players that they've pulled out the bag, some of which ones that we were targeting. We failed and they got them. A lot of questions to be asked of the ownership. Leeds fans, let me know how you're feeling in the comments. I wouldn't imagine there's many people that are feeling that different to me. Yes, some good defensive and good midfield signings, but from an attacking point of view, we look awful. Anyway, please remember, hit like and subscribe. I'm going to be talking a hell of a lot about Leeds and about the Premier League this season. I'll catch you again soon. Peace.